Welcome back. I'm Tedward, and today, thanks to Bond Group in Waltham, Massachusetts, we're driving yet another American classic. This opulent 1962 Lincoln Continental represents the best Ford had to offer after a period of serious losses to the competition. In fact, Lincoln was in the hole about $60 million because Cadillac was wiping the floor with them. This fourth generation Continental represented the Hail Mary that was needed to keep that business alive. And just for context, in 2025 money, $60 million is about $650 million. So it was not looking good for them. However, they scrapped together, they made a shorter, more stylish, futuristic looking Lincoln Continental. Odd to look at this and think it's shorter than its predecessor, but it actually is. And this slab side four-door sedan was setting the pace for the future. One of the coolest things about this Continental is right here. Yes. This is wonderful. The suicide doors, or coach doors for those of you outside of the US. I don't know why we go so hardcore about the way we describe rear hinge doors, but this is maybe one of the coolest features, and it's something that really set it apart from Cadillac. And let's take a look. Even though this thing is huge, there's still not a ton of rear legroom. The back of this Lincoln is still kind of tight. And that is something that changed in, I believe, 1963, when they actually changed these front seat backs a little bit to make more space for the people in the back, because it is a little disheartening when you get into such an enormous vehicle and you still feel cramped. It's kind of bizarre, but there is some creature comforts back here. Man, this leather is fantastic. Oh yes. Little armrest, of course no cup holders, but back here we do have a cigar lighter or a cigarette lighter, however you'd like to think. And these were owned by cool people. In fact, this very car was owned by Elvis Presley's backup singer, J.D. Sumner. So he was definitely a popular guy rolling around in this black and chrome Lincoln Continental. From the front, this starts to really change the pace and go into the 1960s, pulling it out of the flares and the wings and all the things that you'd see in the 1950s, but you still get a little taste of it along the side, because one of my favorite things about this car is this right here. Probably not great when it's raining and you leave these sitting outside for a long time, but I just think everything's slightly understated, and every angle of this car, sorry, I just got to show you everything, just shows off a different line. In fact, I really like the rear of this car. It kind of protrudes out, almost like it's a little snout-nose grill on the front of the car. Shaved bumpers. Man, everything on this car looks the way one would curate a lowrider going forward. It has actually kind of Southern California vibes. If you were rolling around in Long Beach in one of these, it'd be great. Now, these cars, obviously quite famous because the convertible version was what JFK was assassinated in 1963. Oddly enough, more people, when I showed this photo to, did not say that's the JFK car. They said that's the Entourage car. So somehow Entourage's intro became slightly more iconic than the JFK assassination. Go figure. You cannot change pop culture. So things that they definitely cost cut on these cars. Cadillac would have had this flush here. I think these are called coach bolts, but it appears that the Ford bean counters took some liberties to probably cheapen up a little bit of these front bumpers and make them into multiple pieces rather than one solid piece bolted in through the back and then chromed. But you know what? That's okay. Let me show you under the hood. Oh, these doors, they just feel so solid, and I can't wait to share this driving experience with you. It is so insane. Let's get to this hood release. To release the hood, we've got this little latch over here. With a little bit of a creak, it opens up, and there is our 430 cubic inch V8 that was used in the earlier cars. This one makes about 300 horsepower, 465 pound-feet of torque. And later on, they went to a 462, which is basically, I think, just a punched up version of this engine, and later an all new 460. Over there, you can see the Lincoln Continental labeled windshield washer fluid reservoir bag, which is interesting because we've seen that in the last few Fords that we've driven. And it's fun that it actually is labeled as Lincoln Continental and not simply a carryover from Ford. Special bag, very nice. And I was told, and this seems insane, but the more I'm looking at it, the more I am realizing I was not being lied to. The windshield wipers appear to be powered by the power steering pump. Look at this. This is just bonkers. Okay, so they were doing some pretty innovative things. I believe the goal for that was to make them quieter. Go figure. Let me show you the trunk. So back here, this is our fuel filler. It's a little tricky to get to. You gotta kind of pull this down. It feels a little sacrilegious to do this. I won't get those keys out of the way. I don't want to scratch anything. Down here, there's your fuel filler, so you don't need to open the trunk to get to that. Good luck. And then to open the trunk, we just take our key here. Very simple. And this massive trunk deck. Oh my goodness, it's huge. Anyway, plenty of space, spare tire. I've got my stuff back here. And I just think that this screams luxury, the future. I am somebody who's thinking ahead, not looking into the past. It would be so cool if there was no B-pillar and this was just open, but I'm sure that is structurally impossible and it would be a nightmare to drive. And let's not forget the tires. We have a 225 section tire all around on a 14-inch wheel with a beautiful Lincoln Continental labeled hubcap. So let's close it up, start it up, and get it out on the road. And as we're getting in, let me show you. We do have seat belts for the front passengers, not for the rears. And these, oh yeah, power adjustable seats, power windows, and air conditioning. And I love the way the AC works because you've got this right here. Blower control, you pull for your fan speed, and then air system. You can go to your heater, your de-ice, and then you just scroll it over for the air conditioner, which we will give a shot at pretty soon because it is a very, very warm day. So those of you who don't like me wearing shorts, I literally just changed into pants. You can thank me for that. That's one's for you. Ignition down here on the left. Yes. All right. We're running. I did have a jump pack in the back just in case, although it has been starting nicely. But now we can just drive and charge. Everything in the dashboard is super low. You've got this great horizontal speedometer and then Lincoln logos. You've got your engine temp, your fuel level. Over here, the clock. And the clock, look at the second hand, runs ultra smooth, super sleek. Your radio up front, nice armrest here. Let's see. Oh yeah, extra keys. We've got cool old Lincoln stuff. Actually, he had the original brochure. Look at this, 1962 Lincoln Continental. This owner's manual is a guide for locating and operating the controls in your new Lincoln Continental. It's also a guide for planning a maintenance program which will help to retain the appearance and performance of your car. Which reminds me, wow, this is quite clever. Under the car, I was under the car earlier shooting photos, and there's actually a plaque right down here next to the drive shaft that says every 6,000 miles what the maintenance schedule should be on that drive shaft to grease it. Look at how great these windows are. Move incredibly quickly. And let's give this air conditioner a shot after we get on the road. Column mounted shifter for our 3-speed auto. Oh, and the power steering is quite light. This is a boat. What's wild is the location of this rear view mirror. Look at the way they angled this all the way down here. surprisingly, this air conditioner blows really well. Like, this is cold. I was expecting to have a pretty sweaty day in this car, and it's actually not bad. Blind corner. We are going to be cautious with this because we cannot see over the hill. This fella on his recumbent bike is getting it done. Away we go. Sorry for the pollution. Not sure what you're trying to communicate to me here. Certainly no U-turns in this boat. Great visibility. This would be a fantastic city car. So there's two drive modes, really three. There's a low gear, which is the first gear, D1, which I believe starts in first gear and then shifts to second, and D2, which I believe starts in second and shifts to third. So let's try D1. it seems like it went through all three. So D2 must just have it start in second in order to be smoother on the takeoff. Very nice. I can feel pretty much everything on the road. It's all communicated through the chassis, through my fingertips on the wheel. But it is a boat. It is definitely floating around, and in kind of the best possible way. Like, it's not scary. It's definitely the intent to have this squat, dive, and body roll. And the rear end, it's like a truck, really. I mean, you've got leaf springs on either side and a solid rear axle, so that's nothing too complicated, but it rides really lovely. Pedestrian safety was certainly not yet a thought, because the safety for the passengers in the back already weren't really a thought, because there's no seatbelts back there, at least as far as I could tell. Which I love that thought process of, we put lap belts for the front passengers, but don't worry, how could you get hurt if you're in the back of the car? Lots of room. This thing is wide. I love the character of this engine. Big displacement, low revs, lots of torque. Incredibly easy and smooth to drive. It just probably needs an alignment. It feels like it's kind of pulling in both directions. It's a little twitchier than it needs to be, and a little bit of love on the suspension would probably smooth it right out perfectly. Thinking a lot about its mass right now, because this weighs somewhere between, it's around 5,500 pounds, I think. And it's lighter than its predecessor, but again, we're still on a 225 section tire on a 14-inch wheel, no ABS, no traction control, none of that stuff. So if you do have to stop in a hurry or make adjustments like that, where you're like, oh, okay, we need room. You know, there's only so much space I can share on the road in this thing. you don't have a whole lot of options, and you want to give yourself plenty of time to bring it down, because I'm sure it would not take much to lock up these tires, and that's not the Continental style. See what she does on the highway. It's supposed to be a cruiser. We're back into D2. This is great. It definitely is a Brit, just by the wind noise you can tell. And I love the odometer. We're only at 23,827 miles. It's just a baby. It's been taken care of. I also love that it was owned by the backup singer Elvis, who was famously a Cadillac man. So the backup singer's driving around in a Lincoln. That's kind of cool. Floating over bumps. I remember Don Draper buying a giant coupe, and I think it was a Cadillac, not a Lincoln, in Mad Men, but this is giving me all the Mad Men vibes. Great visibility, no mirror on the passenger side, very common for cars at this time, so not to worry. I feel pretty fortunate because it's a hot day driving a classic car, but the AC is blowing ice cold. And I'm not just saying that like a used car dealership, like it really is. I'm comfortable. I don't know that your rear passengers would be so comfortable, however, because it is very tight back there. It's pretty cramped. Not what I was expecting from this car when I saw the size of it. But then again, it's mostly hood and trunk, so the engine compartment, the actual passenger compartment is not enormous. But what a statement this thing would have been in the 1960s. And they went under a couple different facelifts throughout this 1961 to 1969 run of model years for this fourth generation of Continental. I believe 64 and 66. They made some changes to the exterior, so you can tell the differences in these cars, and that wasn't uncommon. I mean, back in the 1950s and 60s, it feels like there was a difference in the cars every single year that you'd be able to clock and say, oh, I know that's a 56, I know that's a 57. Not as common today. I am going to crest this hill and glide it back to Bond Group, where I'm so enamored with American classic cars right now, and I'm really fortunate that I've been able to test them kind of back to back to back in a similar time period with the Fairlane, the Thunderbird, the old pickup truck, and now this Lincoln Continental. I hope to drive some of its contemporaries, like the Cadillac at the time, pretty soon. It'd be fun to drive that. It is kind of nice to just have two fingers on the wheel, an arm on the passenger seat, and cruising around. This is motoring. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Let me know what your favorite opulent luxury vehicles of the 1960s were, and I'll see if I can get my hands on them. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one.